Welcome back to Honda Garage Idaho. In today's video, we're going to find out what it takes to remove the side skirts from our 2011 Honda CR-Z. So, as we can see, I've already removed the passenger side skirts, mainly just to make sure I knew what I was doing before I put it on a video. And it's actually not super difficult, so this will probably be a shorter video. But there's only a few steps we need to remove this whole panel from the vehicle. There's one thing I want to show you before we start, just so you have a general idea of how it works. I personally have not actually removed the side skirts from any vehicles before, so I don't know if this is typical for Honda or if they're usually attached differently. But on the CR-Z, on the inside of the skirt here, we've got these plastic tabs, these slots here that are attached to the plastic. And all along the body of the vehicle, there's plastic clips. And somewhat counterintuitively, we're not actually trying to pop the clips out from the vehicle. The entire skirt will line up onto those clips and slide forward to lock into place. So keep that in mind if you're trying to take yours off. Don't try to pry it out or pop those clips out of the body. It's actually way better to leave them in there and just slide everything else out from these clips that are on the plastic itself. However, there are a few fasteners we're going to remove. You'll see some holes down here on the bottom side. Those are going to have plastic push clips that we'll take out. So let's take a look at that. Now, regardless of your factory ride height, you are going to want to jack up at least one side of your car, maybe even the side that you're working on, although keep the jack out of the way of the side skirt itself. You want as much room as possible to get a tool and your arm in there for leverage against the plastic clips along the bottom of the vehicle. Now, there should only be two tools you need to get this job done. The first is a dedicated pry tool for clips and trim removal. I like these with the angled head. You can probably get away with just a regular flathead screwdriver in a pinch. And the other thing is a Costco-sized serving of patience. If you don't already know why you need that, let me show you. So this is the type of plastic clip that we're going to be dealing with under the chassis, and the design on its own is fine, but the issue is that with age, these clips get full of dust and grime over time, and they get really difficult to pop open without breaking them. The plastic gets a lot more brittle. The way these work to secure things is passing through a hole and then pushing this center pin inward. Expands these little tabs on the side and keeps them protruded out in a wider position. So to remove this clip, what we first have to do is use a tool to pop the center up. With that popped outward, these tabs are free to squeeze together and pass backward through that hole. Now, this particular type of clip is very common. It's very easy to come by, super cheap, but we do want to try to be careful to actually remove these correctly instead of just breaking them apart and leaving little plastic pieces inside the metal chassis so they're not rattling around and making noise. If that doesn't bother you, you can certainly buy a 100-pack or so on Amazon for just a few bucks and just snap these all off at the top and replace them. But just in case, I'm going to show you how we're going to cautiously wiggle these out so that we can remove all of them safely. So let's take a look underneath, and this is going to go for the driver's side and the passenger side. We've got one plastic clip right here. Moving forward, there's one here in this little cutout. Another one right here, which mine is currently missing. A third one underneath here, which mine is currently missing. And a fifth one here up front attached to your fender. Okay, I'm just going to assume that you have a fender. So that leaves us with 5 total of these plastic clips. These little rivets right here, you don't have to remove to get the side skirt off. Those are holding on their own little plastic parts separately. But we are going to need to remove these. And because they're inset a little bit, it can definitely be tricky if you're using a screwdriver. So again, I like these angled removal tools. What you'll want to do first is just look for the 2 tabs, one here and one here, that are specifically placed for a tool to be inserted. So you can get a tool with a sharp point underneath the lip of this center piece and just slowly start to pry. Now, it's not going to come out easily, almost certainly. It's full of dirt and grime and dust, and will take a little bit of working back and forth. But we'll start with one side, pry it up a little bit, see if we can slide a little bit under this direction. And you don't want to use too much force because, like I said, the plastic on these gets brittle as well, and it just breaks off super easily. But we'll put a little force on both sides of that, and switch and use our tool on this side, and just work back and forth until that clip pops free. With those 5 clips pulled out of the way, we can now grab the side skirt from the bottom side and just pull it toward the back of the vehicle. Now again, we're just going to try and pull straight backward as gently as we can to make sure that these stay safely in the vehicle and that we don't damage the plastic tabs on the actual side skirt. They're quite fragile, and on both of my skirts I have a couple that are loose, so do be gentle with that. You'll also notice at the end of the side skirts that there's this alignment pin here, and that you don't really have to have any force to pry out of the body. It just slots into a clip in the inside of the fender there. Here we can actually see the plastic from the side skirt that got caught in this panel a while back and broke off of the side skirt, leaving it just stuck here in this clip. So the sliding motion is all you need to lock and unlock it, but again, just be gentle so these don't rip out. They're only attached to the side skirt with these 3 thin little plastic walls. Now if you do happen to break some of these actual plastic clips on the body, Honda does still sell them, and here's the part number on the screen. If you do need to remove these clips to transfer them to another skirt or something, they can be easily removed like many clips just by squeezing these plastic tabs with some needle nose pliers. And once those are squeezed in, you can just push this out through the back. Reinstalling the side skirts is basically the same procedure in reverse, although it can help to have a second set of hands to help make sure all the clips on the body are lined up completely before you try to push this into place. If you have 1 or 2 that are misaligned and that plastic tab tries to slide through, it will almost certainly rip this part off the side skirt. So make sure you're 100% lined up before you force it in anywhere. And that's about all there is to it. Thanks for watching.